Hello, in this video I will talk about the general use of Cozy Macro. First, we make sure that we enter the cozymacro.com site. From here we can download it, see the purchase options, visit the forum. It is highly recommended that you enter the Discord channel. Here, you can both look at the question and answer section and submit your questions. You can visit the blog page or you can visit the videos page to learn from the video guides. I'm clicking on download now. I also click on the download button. The download manager will land here. I download it to the desktop. I'm running the Cozy download manager. I say more from here, and either way, after clicking run, a final warning appears. When I accept this, the download manager opens. At this point, it asks if you have a special download link or not. Now I say no, I don't. That's when it asked me to choose a version. It can be Night Online, Rise Online, or a beta version of these. Whichever works for me. For example, I chose the Beta 0.4 Rise Online version. I chose the desktop as the download path again and clicked the download button. I'm waiting for the download to complete. Done. Okay, now what if I had a special download link? How was it going to be? This time, I was going to say yes. The name of the special download link was asking me for. When you get a special download link, you get an email like this. The name of the special download link is located here. I've copied it before. I take it from here and paste it where I need to enter the download link name. Again, I select the desktop as the download path and click Save. I'm starting it. The download is complete. Once I'm done with the download, I can delete Download Manager completely, no problem. Now let's start by running the macro. The macro is opened. At this point, if I hadn't downloaded it earlier, the trial would have started automatically. But it asked me for a key because I used the trial before. I've copied my key here before. I take it from here and paste it into the relevant field and complete the activation. I've closed the settings screen for now and I want to talk about the general screen. I can start it with the F11 key, or I can start the macro by clicking the mouse here. This place is used to start. Right next to it, to turn the settings screen open and close. Next to it are the arrow keys to make the macro even smaller. When I click again, I can enlarge it. With the underscore key, I can completely remove the macro from the screen. To undo it, I click on the arrow here and click on the Cozy Macro icon and it comes back. I can also close the macro completely with the red cross key. Now I'm right back to the settings screen. Before that, I would like to mention this. I can move the macro window to different locations from here. I can grab it from here and move it anywhere on the screen that I want. I open the settings screen. There are some features at the bottom of the screen that greets me. When I look at the My Account section, I can see my key, how many days I have left, and the version of Cozy Macro. Here, however, the F11 key is normally set to start. I have the option to change this. From this we can also learn the following. How to change F11? There is a key assignment logic in macro. For this, you will see such fields. When you click on it, it will be waiting for you to click a button. For example, when you click the Q key, I can now turn the macro on and off with the Q key. I click on it again and replace it with F11. In the alarm section, there are some settings to receive notifications from Discord. Of course, there is a more detailed video for this here. To summarize, there should be a Discord webhook URL here. And then you choose in which cases you want to be notified. For example, send me a screenshot every 5 minutes, and many other options. Here again, there is an option exclusive to night users, as it is not very necessary in Rise. What is it? You have opened a video in the background, the macro is running in the foreground, and there is the game in the foreground. Normally, you can't watch the video, but when you click Ctrl plus F11 to switch to the video in the background, the video becomes visible. You can't use the keyboard and mouse after that. When you press Ctrl plus F11 again, the game becomes visible. And you can think of it as you can interfere with the game. Right next to it, there are settings that we can call secondary keyboard settings or secondary keyboard mouse settings. It is not normally necessary to touch here. But at USKO, This is necessary for the time being. If the mouse or keyboard does not react at all, does not click and does not press in the game. When you click the secondary mode button from here and then reset your computer, it will now work. As I said, it is not normally necessary, it is only necessary in cases where the mouse and keyboard are dysfunctional. There is a reset key here. When you click on this, Cozy Macro returns to its original settings. You even need to re-enter the key in the activation key section. I can start by choosing a class from above, talking about settings and details. When I choose, I am greeted by two tabs. One of them is a farm and one of them is PK. The ones in the farm area are the ones that will work when I start them from here or by clicking on F11. It is very important to understand this difference, as those in the PK field mean those controlled by the key I assigned. So, for example, I put a skill in the skill bar and activated a macro from the farm. When I press F11, they will work. But for example, I wanted to set the attack combo from here, the attack combo that I would use in Park. Then I take the key to it myself. I'm activating it from here. In this way, when I press the Q key, it will try to attack. Of course, I have to come to my skill bar and place an attack skill first. At this point, Cozy uses his sword icons. We can say that it acts as any attacking skill in the game. For example, if you have an attack skill at number 2 in the game, you can hold the sword and drag the number 2 from here. Now, when I press the Q key, Cozy Macro will start attacking, but beware, I tried to set a PK-oriented setting right now. What would it be like if this didn't happen? Let's assume it's turned off. When I pressed F11, the macro would continue to work normally. Not PK-oriented, but farm-oriented. When I press F11 again, we can see that this place is paused, that is, the orange color. If I click on it with the mouse, it stops completely, a macro and the settings screen remain openable again. This is approximately the same for macros in the PK part. How? Let's activate it again. I assigned it to the Q key. I press the Q key. See, it's red. It means it's working. I press Q again. Paused. Orange. If I clicked on it, it stopped completely and my settings screen can still be opened. Now I've assigned the Q key to it, but when I want to write to another user, this will work every time I press Q. When I want to temporarily disable these assignments, I use the right control key. Look, it takes on such a color in blue. I'm pressing the Q key right now. For example, the Q key has no effect on the macro, so I can write comfortably. When I just press the right control key again, my Q key is now responsive. If I want to change this, if I want to change the right control key to another key, I can come to the F11 part 1 explained at the beginning and assign the right control to another key from here. After understanding the distinction between FK and farm, let's move on to some basic assignments in the macro. That's why I want to open a game screen through a photo like this. For example, let's talk about an example. For example, what to do. From here, I came to the rogue part. It doesn't really matter right now. I want to set the weapon switching feature. Of course, I activate it in the first place. There is a logic in macro like this. Selecting a color in a coordinate or selecting the coordinate itself. Both features are available here. Let's try. Pin inventory. I click on it. It expects me to take the mouse to the right location and take the color of whatever I want to get at that moment, specific to the current setting, and press on the control button. Look, I still drag the mouse here, I didn't click the control button. As soon as I clicked on it, the check mark appeared here and read the color there. What else could it be? It can be to choose the coordinate itself. For example, here there is such a feature to get the coordinate of the weapon. I click on it. I take my mouse to the weapon. When I clicked the control button, this time it got the coordinate. In other words, we understand how we do both choosing an image and choosing a coordinate here. Again, we have seen how the macro is activated from here. I can still do it passive that way. Now let's talk a little more about the skill bar part. I've closed the screenshot here for now. When I went back to the skill bar section, for example, I put the attack on 2. A small arrow comes out right next to it. What does that mean? It means that there are some skill-specific settings. When I click here, I see some settings specific to that skill. I can choose the type of attack here, for example, features such as click on quick Z, click on R. If you want it to run to the mob, R should be marked, of course. If I'm not an archer. For example, I have some options here, such as choosing a mob. At the moment, no mobs are selected on the screen. It can't, of course. If the mob is selected, there are various features such as waiting for its HP to attack. These are detailed in different videos. Let's give one more example. For example, let's put a pot. It also has a setting next to it. What? We can say that it is to adjust the percentage of the potion. We don't have to use all of them. We place here the ones we want to use in the correct order with the ones in the game. There are options such as F1, F2, F3 only in the rogue part, and only assassin skills can be placed outside of F1. I mean, I can't come to F2 and put a minor, but I can put an assassin skill, for example. Reason? Because if I put a minor somewhere in F1, it's enough for me. That is, the macro will press number 7. In the game, you will have already put the minor in all the FS, the number 7. No matter where the macro goes, the number 7 will always mean minor. So it's enough to line up the others in F1. Well, let's say I've made a lot of settings and I don't want to lose those settings. For example, what did I do? From here, I activated this feature and there may be many more settings. I don't want to lose. In this case, I copy these settings by clicking the up and down arrow keys here. After copying, I can open a text page and paste that setting there. Look, I can share this with my friends, and they can have the same settings. Or when I switch to a different version of Cozy Macro and I need it, I can select all of them from here and copy them and make it passive again, for example, so that the settings appear to come. What did I do? From here, I selected all of them, copied them. I came here and clicked the arrow button again. See, it imported the settings. In this way, I can move my settings without losing them. Now let's talk about another newly added setting. And that's right at the point where we set up F11. Show Hide. We used to be able to hide the macro by clicking the underline button here. Now we can assign it a shortcut. For example, I'll assign it to the Q key for quick show. Now we can hide the macro in this way by pressing the Q key and press Q again to show it. Of course, we can also hide it with this underscore key and show it again by pressing Q. This will provide extra convenience. After mentioning these settings, there is not much left about the general use of the macro. Good game everyone.